of my video on the Inchcape Rock. In this video, I'm going to read stanza by stanza and explain to you what is going on in each stanza. Explain the words and explain the figures of speech if necessary. No stir in the air, no stir in the sea. The ship was as still as she could be. Her sails from heaven received no motion. Her keel was steady in the ocean. What is going on in the first stanza? The weather is calm. There is no breeze that is blowing. No stir in the air. No stir in the sea. There is no movement of the water in the sea. The sea is calm. The ship was as still as she could be. The ship is not moving. It's not being rocked up and down. Her sails from heaven. Remember that the ship we are talking about is a sail ship. And her sails are getting no breeze. So, the ship is not moving and the keel was steady in the ocean. The lower portion of the ship is called the keel. That is steady. Stanza 2. Without either sign or sound of their shock, the waves flowed over the Inchcape Rock. So little they rose, so little they fell. They did not move the Inchcape bell. So what is the situation in the sea, in the ocean? There is no movement. The waves are calm and moving very slowly, showing you that the tide is low. So little they rose, so little they fell. They did not move the Inchcape bell. So the Inchcape bell is not moving. Now, my third stanza, which tells you about the abbot. The abbot of Aberbrothock had placed the bell on the Inchcape Rock. On a buoy in the storm, it floated and swung, and over the waves, a warning rung. So remember, the abbot is a priest in a monastery. Doesn't have too much of money. So what has this man done? He's taken a buoy, a ring, a float, tied to it a bell which he has taken out from his monastery, attached that rope and that buoy with other ropes to the Inchcape Rock, because when the tide is high, the buoy floats on the top of the water. When it floats on the water, the bell starts to ring. So the bell is not ringing all the time. The bell is only ringing when the tide is high. Why is that bell placed on that Inchcape Rock? It is placed to warn mariners, to warn sailors that this dangerous rock is present in that area. When the rock was hid by the surge's swell, the mariners heard the warning bell, and then they knew of the perilous rock, and they blessed the abbot of Aberbrothock. So whenever the ships were passing by, the sailors, the mariners that were in the ships would hear the ting-ting of that bell, and they would immediately remember the Inchcape Rock. And when they remembered it, they blessed the abbot. They said, God bless the abbot for putting that bell and allowing that bell to save us from the rock. The sun in heaven was shining gay. All things were joyful on that day. The seabirds screamed as they wheeled around, and there was joyance in their sound. So what kind of a day are we picturing if we close our eyes? There is the sun. It's a bright day. Everything looks happy. Even the seagulls that are flying over the ocean can spot the fish in the water, and that makes them so excited that they scream and call out to their friends because they know that they can have a good catch of fish. The buoy on the Inchcape bell was seen, a darker speck on the ocean green. Sir Ralph the Rover walked his deck and he fixed his eye on the darkened speck. So the ship is passing by. This is the ship of Sir Ralph. Who is Sir Ralph? Sir Ralph is a pirate. And what is he doing? As his ship is passing by, he takes out his telescope and he looks because he can see a speck in the distance. And he remembers that there is the Inchcape bell. Now remember, he's a pirate. Who is a pirate? A pirate is a sea robber or a sea thief. He is looking to plunder other ships, to rob other ships. So when he looks at that bell, in his mind a plan is forming. He felt the cheering power of spring. It made him whistle. It made him sing. His heart was mirthful to excess, but the rover's mirth was wickedness. So a plan is forming in his head, and the plan that is developing in his head is a wicked plan. He is thinking of how he can do his robberies with less effort. His eye was on the Inchcape float. Quoth he, "My men, put out the boat and row me to the Inchcape Rock, and I'll plague that abbot of Aberbrothock." So what is he? He's the captain of the ship. He tells his men, "Take me in a rowboat to the Inchcape Rock, and I got plans for that Inchcape bell, because now the mariners that pass by won't bless the abbot of Aberbrothock. They will curse him." The boat is lowered. The boatmen row, and to the Inchcape Rock they go. Sir Ralph bent from the boat and he cut the bell from the Inchcape float. So what has he done? His men have rowed the boat, taken him to the Inchcape Rock. He's taken out his dagger or his sword, cut off the rope holding the bell, and asked them to row him back. Down sank the bell with a gurgling sound. The bubbles rose and burst around. Quoth Sir Ralph, "The next who comes to the rock won't bless the abbot of Aberbrothock." So he has allowed the bell to sink, and he's thinking nobody is going to bless the abbot of Aberbrothock because many ships are going to get wrecked on this rock. Sir Ralph the Rover sailed away. He scored the seas for many a day, and now grown rich with plundered store, he steers his course for the Scotland shore. So what has Sir Ralph done after cutting the bell of the rock? He goes into his ship and he moves his ship only in that area. Why does he do this? He does this because he's waiting for the other ships to bang against the Inchcape Rock and to sink. And his thought process is, when the ships hit the Inchcape Rock, he and his men will climb out onto the ship, loot the ship, put the plunder into their ship and sail away. These mariners are trying to save their lives. They are not interested in what their ship is carrying. So Sir Ralph is doing this only in this area. And after many, many months of doing this, his ship is filled with plunder. And now he's thinking, let me go to the Scotland shore and let me enjoy all the work that I have put in all this time. So thick a haze o'erspreads the sky, they cannot see the sun on high. The wind has blown a gale all day, at evening it has died away. So thick a haze o'erspreads the sky. There are dark clouds in the sky. They cannot see the sun on high, and so the sunlight cannot be seen. The wind had blown a gale all day. Whole day there was strong wind, strong breeze. At evening it had died away. and by evening it had become a little better, a little settled down, but the sun has set also. On the deck, the rover takes his stand. So dark it is, they see no land. Quoth Sir Ralph, it will be lighter soon, for there's the dawn of the rising moon. So Sir Ralph is in hope that the moon will rise and the moon will give them some moonlight. So they will know where they are, how close to the shore they are, how safe their boat is. Canst hear, said one, the breakers roar, for methinks we should be near the shore. So one of the sailors in the ship say, I can hear the sound of the breakers. The breakers are the waves that are hitting against a rock and making a sound. Because they are breaking against a rock, they are called breakers. For methinks we should be near the shore. So he knows on the shoreline there are rocks and he can hear the sound of the water hitting the rocks. So he thinks we are going very close to the shore. Now where we are, I cannot tell, but I wish I could hear the Inchcape bell. So he says aloud that he doesn't know where he is, but now he wishes that that bell would ring and give them an idea of how close to the shore they are. They hear no sound. The swell is strong. Though the wind had fallen, they drift along, till the vessel strikes with a shivering shock. Oh Christ! It is the Inchcape Rock. So what happens to their boat? The tide is strong and it takes the ship towards the Inchcape Rock. It bangs the rock and it gets damaged. Sir Ralph the rover tore his hair. He cursed himself in his despair. The waves rush in on every side. The ship is sinking beneath the tide. So what happens to Sir Ralph? He pulls his hair and he curses himself because he's the guy that cut the bell from the Inchcape Rock. And he realizes as he's drowning, as the waves, as the water is entering into his ship, that this is not good. The ship is sinking. All my work that I have put in all these months is just going down into the ocean. But even in his dying fear, one dreadful sound could the rover hear. A sound as if, with the Inchcape bell, the devil below was ringing his knell. So even as Sir Ralph was drowning, still he could hear a sound. And what was that sound? It was a sound that he could hear the devil picking up that Inchcape bell that he had cut and allowed to sink to the bottom of the sea, ringing that bell and saying, Ralph, come on, your place is available in hell. In the old days, when they wanted to inform people of the death of a person, what would they do? The bell in the church square or in the city square was rung in a particular way to inform people of the death of one of the people in that area. And that is the bell that Ralph can hear, which is none other than the Inchcape bell. What does this poem teach us? You look at the start of the poem, the weather is good, the sun is shining, things are good because the abbot of Aberbrothock has done a good deed by putting a bell on a float on the Inchcape Rock. The second half of the poem is got the weather that is the opposite. It is bad weather, it is stormy weather, because Sir Ralph the pirate has cut off that bell. He has done injustice to the mariners. He has robbed and plundered, and a result of his bad work that he has done causes him to lose his life. This is a story of karma. When you do good, good happens. When you do bad, bad happens. There is a saying in English, as you sow, so shall you reap. If you sow goodness, what you will reap is goodness. But if you sow wickedness, you are not going to receive goodness, you are going to reap wickedness. This is Teacher Grandma, a teacher for 34 years, a grandmother of 2 pretty little girls, signing off, informing you that there is one more video coming out of the analysis of this poem. I do hope you enjoyed, you understood everything that was taught to you. If there is anything that you did not understand, please leave a comment in the comment section and I will respond to you. Do not forget to like, to share. Remember, it's a good deed that you can do, and to subscribe to the channel. Bye-bye.